Hi there, my name's Andy Hillier, and today's guitar lesson is going to be on Spin the Wheel from the new season of Arcane. Lovely little song. I think it's by Mick Wingert. That's what it says. Beautiful little song, great fun to play, bit of finger picking, a little bit of strumming later on as well. I've written out the whole song. I'm going to teach you it all, but just before I do, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my channel, which is Andy Hillier, give me a like on the video, press that notification bell, and I do love to hear from you, so please leave me a comment in the comments section. Let me know what you think of the new season of Arcane. Let me know what songs I should do next, and if you love what I'm doing, you want to support me, support the channel, and you want the tabs for the whole of this song and loads of other songs, then you can support me on my Patreon page. A link to that is in the description. My guitar is in standard tuning, and I've got a capo on fret number 1. So the first line of the intro sounds like this. So to play that, doesn't really matter what fingers you use. I'm using my third finger on E3 and my little finger on E3 nearest to the floor. But you could equally use second and third, first and second, whichever ways you want, whichever fingers you prefer. So E3 on the string nearest your face and E3 nearest to the floor. And you're going to play the E string and the B string at the same time. Then the G string, the E3 nearest to the floor, and then the B string. This song is in 3/4, so there's 3 beats per bar, so it's 1, 2, and 3 is the rhythm. So bar 1, bar number 2. This is probably the trickiest bit of the whole song, really. This bar, B7 chord. First finger is going to bar from the A string at the 2nd fret, and then either use your 3rd finger or your 4th finger on B4. And you play the A2 and the B4 at the same time. Then the G2, which your first finger's barred. The E2, again the first finger's barred on that. And then back to the B4. So bar 2. Into bar 3, and we slide up 1 fret. Your first finger's barred from the A string on the 3rd fret. Little finger on the B5. So actually in the previous bar, it's probably better to use your little finger on that B4 in bar 2. So bar 3 then, little finger on B5, 3rd finger above it on G5, and you're going to play the A3 and the B5 at the same time, then G5, and then E5 nearest to, E3 nearest to the floor. So bar 3. So the first 3 bars slowly. Into bar 4, and it goes back to that G chord. So E3 and E3, so both of the E3s. And you just play E3 nearest to your face and the B string. Then another B, E3 nearest to the floor, and then G. So you get... And the next 3 bars are exactly the same. So basically bars 4, 5, 6, and 7 are exactly the same. So you just get... So the whole line slowly goes like this. And up to speed. On to the second line, and we've got this. So for that, I'm putting my little finger on E3, 2nd finger on the D2. And I'm going to play D2 and the B string, then the G string, E3 nearest to the floor, and then the B. So we've got... So that's kind of like E minor. It then goes to what is kind of part of a C chord. First finger on B1, 2nd finger on D2. You play them at the same time. Then the open G, and then the open E. So bar 9. So bars 8 and 9 go. Then it goes back to the G chord, E3 and E3. And you play the E3 nearest your face and the B string. then G, E3 nearest to the floor, and then the D string. So bar 10. And bar 11 is the same as bar 10. So bars 10 and 11. And then bar 12, we've got this little, which is just B1, pulls off to B, G2 pulls off to G, then the open D, hammer on to D2, so bar 12. So the whole line slowly. And up speed. So those two lines are the intro. On to the next line, and this is the first line of the verse, and we've got this. Okay, so starting off on the G chord, E3 and E3. We play E3 and the B string at the same time, then G, E3, and then the B string. And it's worth using your little finger actually on this, the more I think about it. So third finger and little finger every time you play this G chord, because then going to the other chords, it makes more sense. So bar 13, bar 14, put your second finger on D2 and keep your little finger on E3. So you play D2 and the B string, then G, E3, and then B. So bar 15, you've got the C chord. You're going to keep your little finger on E3, first finger B1, second finger D2. And play D2 and the B1, the G string, E3, and B1. And then bar 16, back to the G chord, play the E3 and the B string, then B, E3 nearest to the floor, then G, and the next bar is exactly the same, but the last note, instead of being a G, will be a D string. So. And then the next bar starts on G again, so E3 and the B string, then B, E3, and then G, and then B. Bar 18 then. Okay, so the whole line slowly. And up speed. On to the next line, and we've got this. So for that G chord, you play the E3 and the B string, B, E3, and then G. C chord, B1 and D2. Play the D2 and the B1, then G, B1, D2. Next bar, take your first finger off and play the D2 and the B, G, B, then D2. And then into bar 22, we've got a D chord. Second finger E2, first finger G2, third finger B3. And you're going to play the D string and the E2 at the same time. Then D, B3, and then G2. Bar 22. And bar 23 is the same. And then bar 24 you go. Which is the D string and E3. Pull off to E2. Play an open E string and then B3. So, okay, hold that line slowly goes. I will have these tabs on my Patreon page, so if you want to print them off or download them, they'll be on my Patreon page. Link to that is in the description. Okay, on to the next line, and we've got this. Similar to what we played in the intro. So the G chord, you've got E3 and the B string, then G, E3, and then B. Then that B7 chord where we bar the first finger on the second fret, little finger on B4, and play A3 and B4, then G, and then the E2, and then the B3. So then move up a fret to C, and you play the A3 and the B5, then the G5 with the third finger, and then E3. So first 3 bars of that line. And then to a G chord, where we play E3 and the B string, D, E3 nearest to the floor, and then G. And the next bar's exactly the same, so that both 28 and 29 are the same. So the whole of that line then, slowly. On to the next line, or page 2 if you've printed this off. Okay, so for that you've got the G chord, you play E3 and the B string, then B, E3, and then G. And then we're going to go to this D. It's just because we're going into the next bar, this the bar 32, which goes to this E flat diminished. The easiest way to get to there is to play the D up here. It's a little bit tricky, but hopefully it'll make sense. So fret 5 on the A string and 7 on the B string. Okay, so you've got to remember you've got fret 1, so it's where 6 and 8 would normally be. So A5 and B7, and then play another A5, a G7, and then A5. And then we get this E flat diminished. So this is a bit tricky. First finger on fret 6 of the A string, second finger on D7, third finger on B7, and little finger on G8. So it's E flat diminished chord. And we play the A6 and the B7 at the same time, then G7, B7, and G8. So actually that's probably the trickiest bar of the whole song. So if we play bars 31 and 32, they go. That might take some practice. And then we go down to E minor, fret 2 on the D string and the open E string, then B, then put your finger on E3, and then G. So into bar 34, we've got C chord, B1 and D2, play them at the same time, then G, E, and then D2. So, then you don't have to move your fingers in the next 2 bars, but bar 35 you'll play the B1 and G string, then D2, E, then G, then the D2 and B1, G, E, and then D2. So bars 34, 35 and 36 go. So the whole line slowly. And up speed. And that's kind of the end of where the verse is. On to the next line, and we've got 2 lines of what is kind of an interlude. The first line, this line goes. Okay, so for that, E3 and the B string, then G, E3, nearest to the floor, then B. Into bar 38, and we've got, based on E minor, D2 and the B string, then G, and then B3, pull off to the open B. We then go to that B7 where your first finger's barred, and on the second fret, little finger on B4. And you play the A string, fret 2, and then B4, G2, E2, B4. So upper fret to the C chord and play the A3 and the B5, G5, E3, G5. Then you keep it into the next bar and do the same thing. And bar 42, you could play the same thing, but I've written, which is A3 and the B3, hammer on to B5, then play a B3, E3, and then B5. Sorry. Okay, so the whole of the line slowly. And up speed. On to the next line, still the interlude, and we've got this. Okay, so G chord, E3 and the B string, then B, E3, and then G. Bar 44, we've got E minor, so we play the D2, G, E3, and then B. Then C chord, we play the D2, B1 at the same time, then G, then E. Then back to the G chord, play exactly the same as in bar 42, 43, sorry, the first bar of that line. And you've got 2 bars of that. And then the last bar goes, which is B1, G2 pulls off to G, then D2, and then G. So the whole of that line slowly. And up to speed. So after this line of the interlude, it goes back to the verse and plays all through all those lines from the verse, all the way up to and including this interlude and this line. It then starts kind of a strumming pattern where we get this. Okay, so it's a C chord, first finger B1, second finger on D2, third finger A3. And the strumming is going to go down, down, up, down, up. That's 1 bar. So 1, 2, 3, and you get 6 bars of C. So you get this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It then goes to a G chord, E3. Nearest to the floor, E3 nearest to your face, and first finger A2, and 6 bars of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then into bar 51, we've got a bar of C for 6 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then into bar 52, and we've got 3 bars of G. 1, 2, and then 3 bars of D in bar 53. Okay, so this is kind of like the sort of, not a breakdown, it kind of actually builds up and it's a bit louder, and it's more of like an instrumental part. Okay, so let's try this line. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to G. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. back to G, 1, 2, 3, D. On to the next line, and it's a verse, so it's exactly the same as what we played before, but I've just written out the rhythms because I'd probably play just strumming through the rest of this. You could play what we did before with the finger picking, but it works nice as playing the strumming pattern. Okay, so same rhythm, down, down, up in each bar. We've got a bar of G, bar of E minor, which is just A2 and D2, bar of C, and then 3 bars of G. So with the strumming pattern, it'll go. On to the next line, and we've got a bar of G, a bar of C, a bar of E minor, and then 3 bars of D. So you get. On to the next line, and we've got a bar of G, then a bar of B7. So for B7, I'm going to put my little finger on E2, third finger on G2, second finger on A2, and first finger on the D1. That's B7, so we've got a bar of that, bar of C, and then 2 bars of G. So that line will go. On to the next line, we've got G for a bar, D for a bar, E flat diminished, which is almost the same as a B7 chord, but we don't put the A string in. So E2, open B, G2, and D1. So E flat diminished, and then E minor for a bar, and then C for 3 bars. So that line will go. And then the last line, we've got this. So D for a bar, E flat diminished for a bar, E minor for a bar, C for 4 bars, and then you play E minor D, and then you just finish on a G chord. So the last line. And that's the whole song. Well, I do hope you've enjoyed that guitar lesson, especially the person who requested it. Thanks for the request. If you have enjoyed this, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to my channel, it really does help me out, as does giving me a like on the video. Press that thumbs up button underneath the video, it really does help. Press the notification bell so you hear when my new videos come out. And I do love to hear from you. So please leave me a comment in the comment section. I read every single comment. I'd love to know where in the world you're watching this from. I'm just making this video from my home in England, and you guys are all around the world. So let me know what country you come from. Let me know what you're thinking of the new season of Arcane. Let me know what songs I should do next. Or just say hi, because it helps the video get some more views. And if you love what I'm doing, you want to support me, keep me doing this, well, you can give me a super thanks on the video. Or if you want the tabs for this and loads of other songs, then you can support me on my Patreon page. A link to that is in the description. Well, thanks for watching this. I do really appreciate it. I've done loads of other videos for Arcane songs, and I've done over 2,500 videos. So go and watch some of my other videos, and I'll see you next time.